So I'm not quite sure what's going on with some of these recent recordings I've been doing at the Need for Speed Most Wanted mod showcase, but for whatever reason, the audio seems to get have a weird corruption where it just kind of gets all fucked around at the start and then just kind of gets a bit sad. So I might have to do some working around to hopefully try to fix that in the future. But yeah, something seems up. I apologize for these recent episodes having some cut audio, but please bear with me because, you know, I can't really help technical issues. But anyways, enjoy this episode of the Mod Showcase anyways, as we take a look at a bunch of different Bugattis. You've probably heard of them. What you might not know is that they've made more cars than just the Veyron, and in this episode, I'm going to be looking at 3 of those. And we're going to be doing it by oldest to newest, basically. So we start with the oldest. We got the EB110 Supersport. This was a Bugatti released in the earlier part of the 90s up until the mid-90s when the Bugatti, then Bugatti that made this car went bust before a couple years later being acquired by Volkswagen to form the current Bugatti that we now know them as. But this was basically their attempt in the 90s to make a supercar for the time, put a lot of power, make it go really quick, and all that sort of stuff. And it was, you know, sort of recognizable, but it was kind of a bit obscure. And though it did race, it actually was in Le Mans, if I remember correctly. It, you know, wasn't as recognizable. And I can only imagine how difficult it must be trying to maintain one of these if you drive them in today's world, because of, you know, how obscure parts must be. Anyways, not much you can do visually with this one, so we're just gonna change the paint. I think all of these you really can't do much of them too. So oh well. But yeah, I'll just go with the blue because of course blue is a bit synonymous with Bugatti. So we're gonna head over here, set all these. I don't really need to worry about that. You might also notice it says 4 cars. There's a reason for that, but we'll get to that later on. But anyways, so as usual, like I'll do on this series, I take all the cars I test around the Petersburg test track and give them about roughly 3 flying laps to see how fast they go around the track, and the fastest time gets put onto a leaderboard where it can compare with, at the time, currently over 200 different cars, which include, of course, the game's standard car list and car mods as well. So it's a bit interesting, to say the least. The Bugatti EB110. Now, of course, if it doesn't take much to probably guess, but this car does replace, excuse me. It is a Forza Motorsport 3 model conversion. Forza 3 models, I believe were ripped. I think Forza 4 as well, but Forza 3 is just, I think, a little more easier accessible. I don't know for sure, but basically, you know, a lot of these car mods for Most Wanted have Forza 3 conversions for the simple fact is it's ripped and easily able to convert, and the Forza models from basically Forza 3 onwards, especially later on, the detail is really good. It's a really very excellent detail, and it looks really nice. Like this EB110 conversion, it looks beautiful. It's a fantastically well done mod. Oh, it's smooth. It looks super accurate. It looks fantastic. It's a very gorgeous mod. How it drives though, it's a bit weird. It feels a little bit like realism was sort of on the mind for the guy who made this. I believe it was McLaren 3DCM. I really should be mentioning the names of the modders for these cars, but the problem is I just tend to forget all the time because I don't like write them down or anything. I only write down the names of the people who requested me the cars. I believe Q96 requested this one as well. But basically, that's just what it comes down to. Is it's just I tend to forget these kind of things. I don't want to discredit them or anything, because of course without their hard work for putting these cars in the game, I wouldn't be able to do this series at all. So, but you know, but yeah, basically though, it's kind of strange. It doesn't particularly feel that mind-bogglingly fast on the straight. I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong, but it's, you know, there are you know, like better cars and whatnot and all that sort of stuff around this kind of field. As for the way it like handles, it's a bit weird. It's kind of slow to turn in, but you know, kind of has at least a decent amount of grip. I mean, I'm able to keep this thing well under control, and I'm not really smacking against walls or anything, so I can't complain too much. Because whilst it may feel a bit heavy, it's actually fine. It's not amazingly good, but it's all right. It's a very easily controllable car. It's very nice. The EV110, by the way, this particularly replaces the Aston Martin DB9. So it would be pretty interesting. You play it through the career mode. You just come across Ronnie, who now has a 90s Bugatti rather than the DB9. Two different spectrums of the exotic. Basically, a more luxurious exotic in the DB9 to a more obscure exotic of the EB110. If I remember correctly, Dower, D-A-U-E-R, I don't know much about them, but I believe they actually did sell the EB110 for a couple more years like as their own, because I think the thing was there were existing bodies and configurations for the EV110 that still weren't finished when the Bugatti had gone under in the 90s, and I think Dower took the remaining of them and just sold the rest of them off for the next few years or something like that. I believe. I could be wrong though, but that's what I kind of remember. Anyways, so the EV110 finishes off with a 58.43, which is fine. Nothing too spectacular, but it's all right. Could be worse. Anyways, next up, we have a bit of a very interesting Bugatti. This is the 18.3 Chiron. No, it is not based off the current Chiron. This Chiron is one of the first Bugatti concepts, if I remember correctly, that was made when Volkswagen took over. This was one of the first things they showed off, and it was, you know, a crazy idea for a car because it was like an 18-cylinder, I guess W18 or something, 3 turbochargers. It was mind-boggling, and it seemed like this was what Bugatti was originally going to go for. Then they decided to work on the Veyron, and then, you know, the Chiron eventually did happen, but it has almost nothing to do with this original Chiron. So, and there are mods for the Chiron that are made for this game, but, you know, I have not ever been requested one of them, interestingly enough. And, of course, with requests currently closed, it may be a while before I actually get to one. Again, you can't really do a lot to the this particular car, so, again, let's just give it, you know, the more accurate blue, and just call it there. But, yeah, it's fairly interesting, because I actually don't know if this is a model conversion or not. I don't know a single game that has this particular car. If you know, then you're free to tell me, but I just think, I think it's just a 380 model that was added to the game. So this is a very strange thing, because it's got the it seems to have the engine of the Gallardo, even though it does not replace the Gallardo. It actually replaces the Subaru Impreza WRX STI, which makes it a bit more interesting, to say the least. I will say though, this old Chiron concept, I kind of like. It looks very different compared to most Bugattis that would become. I find it's a bit out of the ordinary, so it's, you know, kind of got something a little bit different going on, and I kind of liked it. It's kind of a shame they didn't really go forward with this one, but, you know, I don't work at Bugatti, so I don't exactly know what the idea was or not, but, you know. So how does this thing drive? It's fine. Again, it doesn't particularly feel very fast on the top end. I actually think it's a little better than the EB110 though. So, you know, and handling wise, again, it's fine. It's not particularly grippy, but it's not particularly bad either. It's just fine. Not too much I can really complain about. There's something I can complain about. That snap oversteer that just happened. That was, you know, not quite something I was expecting. So that was a bit interesting. So yeah, this lap is pretty much invalidated, so I'm just gonna quickly blast through it and then just try to get ourselves to the next one. Apparently this car has a top end of 246 miles an hour, but on a track like this, you would never reach it, especially considering the car's main acceleration. Actually, no, this does actually... I was gonna say this sounded like the Gallardo. It actually sounds like the Murcielago now, thinking about it. Although, to be fair, I think the two cars tuned up don't... I don't think there's really a difference. If I recall correctly, but, you know, could be wrong. I can't remember entirely off the top of my head. Anyways, let's... Yeah, hopefully we don't have another case of sudden snap oversteer. That'd be bad. Well, if that's anything to go by, then hopefully, for this case, this time the answer will be no, it won't happen again. Oh boy. But yeah, I mean, I think this is an earlier mod too. I think this was made back in 2009, I want to say. 2008, 2009, so, you know, it's kind of got that before 2010s, like, design cues was how the way it's modeled up, but it's still, you know, it's still a fairly nice looking mod. I mean, it's better than some of the really early ones, but then again, that was just because, you know, modders didn't really know exactly at the, oh Jesus, modders didn't really exactly know at the time, you know, the game's limits and capabilities with models, so, you know, they kind of played it a bit easier because back then it was more the intention of getting them in, rather than, you know, trying to make them look as detailed as possible. And also keeping in mind, of course, you know, the game does have model limits. You can't make a model look extremely good like you can't make it look like it would be comparable with Forza Horizon 3 models, because then that would just be too many polygons and it would just make the game crash. Or it would load, but it would make the game struggle really badly, and then you try to load another car and then it causes a crash. Which actually is the reason I have 4 cars. But again, you'll see exactly what car that was that caused it. Ooh. Yeah. Anyways, this lap should be, you know, the best one. Didn't have any issues or nothing. And not too bad around there either. So what was the time on that last lap? 56:08. That's all right. I actually think that's pretty good. For what I was kind of expecting of this performance of the car, you know, perfectly fine. So there we go, 2 Bugattis. Haven't had exactly too much to complain about. Really, the only case with the Chiron was that weird case of snap oversteer I experienced. But apart from that, this is looking pretty promising. But we can only save the craziest for last, which brings us to this. This is one of the last mods I took into the request list before I closed it down for now. This is indeed a model conversion that has actually happened. The Bugatti Vision Gran Turismo. Yes, this is basically, if you don't know, the Gran Turismo, the game franchise by Kazunori Yamauchi and Polyphony Digital. They've since Gran Turismo 6, they started up a thing called Vision Gran Turismo, and what they do is they reach out to all the different sort of manufacturers, and they ask them to, like, create like a, you know, like a futuristic, like, concept slash racing like car that they would imagine what cars in the future racing wise would be like, or just make them as fictional and crazy as possible, just to give them their own, you know, their own vision, hence Vision Gran Turismo. And this was what Bugatti came up with. In fact, much of what you see here with the Vision Gran Turismo apparently was taken as a design cue for what would eventually become now what we know as the Chiron. The Vision Gran Turismo inspired in many ways the design for what the Chiron was going to be. Of course, it wasn't going to exactly be, you know, be this kind of crazy, but, you know, it's still really cool to kind of see it. And this car is super highly detailed. Like, if you have a not so great PC, I wouldn't imagine it'd be particularly very happy trying to load this model. So, you know, just keep that in mind. You might want a little better computer. And I sort of got, if I go right and I try to load the EV110, the game will crash. So that's why I have the Lexus there, because then it stops it from doing that. So, anyways, again, like before, not much you can really do to it. So we'll just paint it to give it a more, you know, a kind of more accurate blue. I mean, the Vision GT kind of had a bit of a lighter shade, somewhat. And the problem is I can't exactly replicate it to what I'm trying to go for. This honestly is, I guess, the closest I can get, but, you know, so we'll just go with it. This replaces the Cadillac CTS, I believe, which is, you know, a fairly interesting one, because you know, replace a caddy with this behemoth of a car. But will it go like one? We're about to find out. This was also requested by 04567, and if I remember correctly, I do believe the Chiron concept was the real Emile who requested that one, if I recall. Whoa, okay, sudden jump cuts. Things went a bit wrong, so I apologize for that, but basically, though, I have driven the car around just, you know, a bit, and I can tell you right now, this thing is definitely not like the other two Bugattis. It is very quick, and actually, it handles very well, actually. Like, it is quite, you could probably see right now just how quick it's moving. It's definitely going. And also, since I'm on the first lap, I really like how there's like a giant light bar, so it just leaves a giant thing behind it when you hit the nitrous. And right now, I'm mostly just taking the chance to get rid of all this here. There we go. Problem solved. Yep. Seems to have 253 miles an hour as its top end, which is about as accurate as the Veyron. So, you know, not sure if the Vision GT was ever designed to go this fast. It probably was, considering Bugatti, but you know, not 100% certain. There we go. That was much nicer to the corner. When I was doing the last run, that corner was giving me some trouble. So, not that one though. Not so much. That one was pretty good. It was good to me. Whoa, I was extremely close to the wall there, but I did keep it off, so. And I love how I can just take this car around that area there just over 200. It always gets me. It's really cool. And that was quick there. Look at that, a 48.18, a low 48-second lap time. Just about what I was expecting. Oh no, I'm a bit wide. I'm just going to give it very light touches of nitrous to try to reclaim that bit of speed. I know I said and all that stuff, but you know, I probably should loosen up a bit. Like if I like, say for example, if I screw up a section there, I should at least give myself the chance to bring some speed back to, you know, kind of try to remedy it maybe. So I might start doing that. I might start allowing nitrous if I screw up something to try to say, like, try to remedy the lap. So yeah, I'm not gonna use it, of course, if the lap's going perfectly fine. It's only if I like screw something up is how I'll probably do it. Anyways, not that matters because that lap was worse anyways. Pretty sure my mic's a bit further away than I'd want it. Maybe, I have no idea. Kind of had a bad angle there, I must say, but which is not quite what I wanted. It's probably what I get for letting go real quickly to adjust that. So, ooh, oh well. Nice through there, very nice. Oh, this is just gonna be quick. No, this might rival that 48.18 that I did. Fuck it, full. Just no, not even bother. How was that? Was that sub 48? Was it? Ah, no. 48.25. But still, 48.18 is good. It puts it pretty damn high up the leaderboard, and it's, you know, kind of what I expected. A full-fledged, like, racing Bugatti. I expected it to be fast, and it did exactly what I expected to do, and that was go fast. How fast exactly? Well, let's find out. And of course that means leading over to our leaderboard, and the Bugatti Vision Gran Turismo was definitely the fastest of the day in 19th place, setting a time of 48.18, just barely off of the Audi R8 TDI and a little bit off of the Lotus T125 and McLaren F1 LM, but it does beat out the McLaren F1 Elite, the Peugeot 908 HDI FAP, Skyline R33, and Red Bull X1. Further down, though, quite a bit further down, actually, in 100th place, yes, 100th, so that's a bit weird, 100th, sorry, is the Bugatti 1830 Chiron Concept with a 56.08. barely off the times of the 918 Spider Visic package, Cayman S, and SSC Tuatara, but it does edge out the 5-liter 1990 Ford Mustang, aka Fox Body, Chrysler ME 412, 911 Cur S, Ford X650, and SSC Ultimate Aero 2009. And finally, down into 142nd place is the EB110 SS with a 58.43 second time. Again, just off of the 06 STI, Super BRZ Lotus Europa S, and Super Snake Shelby GT500 The Run Edition, but it does edge out the Lexus IS300, Hemi Cuda, Dacia Grandero, and Camaro ZL1 Elite. So that does it for today's episode, guys. Again, I'll leave a comment when I be taking requests again. I got a lot to get through, so I apologize if that bothers you, but just let me get through these, and then I'll start taking some more again. But anyways, in the meantime, guys, if you want to check out my Twitter, my Twitch, my forum board, if you want to donate on Patreon, or if you want to submit a clip to the highlight reel, all of those are down below in that description box. And like I always say, thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.